What up, friends? This is my place, stack of records, microphone, and Robin Black. That's me. And this is Ask Robin Black. Hashtag Ask Robin Black, all one word. Do I look tired? I feel tired. This also, incidentally, unrelated, this is a Roots of Fight shirt. Dennis Rodman. They sent it to me because that man wore makeup, and so did I. A little iced coffee. Ask Robin Black. We could take some questions, and I use them as a guide to kind of explore martial arts ideas, all of the things about combat and fighting and growth and life. You know, we've really started to, over the last 6 months or a year, find constant connections between the study of fighting, the experience of fighting, the training, and everyday life. That's just undeniable, and probably going to go further into that because that's how you start to see things. You study anything long enough, and it connects. Under the study of any one thing, how coffee works, whatever, will connect to other things. That's what it is to develop some kind of mastery or expertise or work on trying to develop that, is to make these connections. So we got a ton of great questions, and I really enjoy doing this because when I allow myself to explore, the beauty of spending your time analyzing or studying something is you can go anywhere you want. But the challenge is you can go anywhere you want, right? Whereas when somebody directs you to a question, it sends you down a path. A week ago, I was on Joe's show. I always keep this mug here as a thank you to Joe. Sometimes I drink out of it, but something's worn off on the bottom, and I'm worried what it's made out of. But Joe is the best at that. Joe will just open doors for you, and then you just walk down them with him. And then as you're going down, you'll have a thought. And this is what it is to be a good conversationalist, something we can all work on. I try to learn from him and others like him who are very, very good, that have come and done this for many generations. When I talk to an Eddie Alvarez or Jorge Masvidal or Michael Bisping, I try to learn these things so that if somebody's going somewhere interesting, you go with them, but you can also open another door and they can pop down that hallway, and that's what this does. The reason I mentioned Michael Bisping, one of the biggest questions today from Telvin Kipapa is favorite Michael Bisping moment. So we're gonna start off talking about Michael Bisping. One of my real true favorites. Like, I appreciate this athlete and artist and man very much, very much. I've really truly enjoyed. You know, I live a life of studying other people's work and their art and so forth. And I've really enjoyed studying this guy a lot. And so we're going to talk about that, but I'm going to just, speaking of opening a doorway, I'm just going to slip off to the side with one question that just popped up on Twitter. I'm at Robin Black MMA on Twitter and Instagram. Just popped up at Judas3RD or Judas3rd, who also has another question later. And he says, should Demian Maia retire? Hashtag Ask Robin Black. The reason I bring that up before we dedicate a good chunk to Michael Bisping is, I mean, he deserves a lot more than that. I'm working on a 1 minute little celebration. Hopefully that's out in the next couple of days with my friend Dinislam Maverick, Russian editor. On Instagram is Dinislam_Maverick. Follow him. He edits beautiful combat sports stuff. He's making a celebration of Bisping in highlights, and I'm going to voice over some ideas next day or two. Bisping, we could spend a long time, and I will. Some of these great guys, I talk to Phil Baroni on a regular basis. You know, we look at, you know, Joe Dirksen in Winnipeg, one of the Canadian pioneers. I like to go back and see what these guys have done. You know, Matt Hume and all of these guys. Go back and look at their work in context. So I'll celebrate Michael's work for a long time. I'll look at his work. I'll look at what he accomplished many times in the next few years on a regular basis. It's part of my process, and I'll appreciate it. But before we talk about Bisping, this question from Judas Third brother says, should Demian Maia retire? Anyone who's had this conversation with me or seen me have it on any of our channels knows my answer is these guys should do what the fuck they want, as should you, and as should everybody. We're free people, right? Think of this. So we'll often have opinions on other people. We can if we want, but we're kind of wasting our time. They don't give a fuck. Neither should they. What you, my brother, might say, or I might say, like if you say this and I'm like, oh, Demian Maia should retire. I mean, this guy can't close the distance anymore. You know, his takedowns are no longer effective and, you know, he's taking a lot of damage. He's 40 years old. You know, in my opinion, Demian Maia should. He doesn't give a fuck. Like, we are wasting our breath. Our lives have many, and I mean, don't get me wrong, no judgment. You spend your time how you want it. It's yours. You earned it. You have it. It's all one of the only things we have. So you spend it how you want it. This is your friend throwing out a thought for you. Please don't take it as I'm telling you what to do, because I want you to do whatever the fuck you want to do, like Demian Maia and Michael Bisping. But your life is complicated. Your mothers, your families, your friends, your relationships, what you do, what you might do, what you could do. Fuck, you can spend your time looking at, should I change my job? Should I go to the gym? Should I stop eating chocolate? There's all kinds of shit we can look at with ourselves. Now, why am I saying this in relation to Michael Bisping? And please, no judgment, brother. I appreciate your questions. I got another one of yours. Fantastic questions. Is one, Demian Maia doesn't care. He shouldn't care what we think, and you shouldn't care what somebody else thinks. So we are wasting our breath in connection to him. If we're doing it as a way to, by examining other people, learn lessons about ourselves, cool. If we're doing it for fun, distraction, entertainment, cool. But Demian Maia doesn't give a fuck what we think. And us worrying about Demian Maia, we got all kinds of shit of our own we could be worrying about all day, all the time, nonstop. Am I drinking too much coffee? Am I not drinking not enough coffee? I got a sunburn. Should I be fucking wearing, like, my wife's got an opening this weekend. Am I helping her out enough getting ready? You know? Did I call my fucking parents enough this week? Am I doing a good job at this? Am I getting better as a person? Fuck, I got all kinds of shit of my own to worry about. I don't want to worry about Demian Maia. Number one. Number two, Demian Maia is a free man. He's a free man, a free thinker, just like you are. Demian Maia is surrounded, as Michael is, by people who love him and people who are close to him and people who know him. And he knows himself. A black belt, someone of Demian Maia's level of self-study, to become Demian Maia, you have to have a really great understanding of yourself. Now, I know we lie to ourselves about things that we love. If you've been drinking too much fucking whiskey, you shouldn't drink whiskey anymore. And yet you'll tell yourself, it's not so bad. And fighters do that. They do. But you and I are not the ones to change it. We're just sitting there talking. We're just talking. His friends, his family, the doctors, his coaches, himself, he's surrounded by people with high levels of expertise. We don't fucking know. We don't have 2% of it. If you saw how good some of these guys are, all day, every day, hour after hour, week after week, and then they get into the cage and something changes and it's not quite there, but then the next, oh my God, they're unbelievable. It's a performance thing. It can be beaten. We see they don't take any damage. They're healthy. They sleep well. They're happy. They're adjusted. Everything is working, but then they have a bad performance or two. And then we're all going to say our opinions. Like, what are we doing? Demian Maia should do what's fucking right for Demian Maia. I should do what's right for me, and you should do what's right for you, and you shouldn't care what other people think. So should Demian Maia retire? If he feels like it, if that's what he wants, if his health won't allow it, if his doctor says he can't, if his wife asks him to stop, he still doesn't have to. I don't know that he is married. I feel like he is, but I haven't looked into his personal life. If your wife and your kids say, please don't do it, you still have the right to do it. It's your life. You do. But you might want to consider, these are the most important people in your life. You might want to consider what they have to say. Is this hurting them? Is it torturing them? Am I hurting them by doing this? Well, that's up to you. It's your fucking life. It's Demian Maia's life. It's Michael Bisping's life. So it'll come up a lot because I know that the nature of, I'm talking for dozens and dozens and dozens of hours a week about fighting, but people just will see a moment. They don't know. I'm just a guy talking about fighting. But anytime this comes up, I have the same answer. They should do what they want. They should do what they want. There are people who can make them stop fighting. It ain't me, and it ain't you. It's a doctor. It's their family. It's the people close to them. It's their coaches. Sometimes it's Dana White who says, we are not going to let you fight anymore. But Chuck Liddell's saying he wants to fight. And it's Chuck Liddell's fucking life, by the way, not mine or yours. And then our conversation will then lead to, well, these guys need to be protected from themselves. Sometimes that's true. We're still not the ones to do it. Twitter ain't going to do it. Doctor's going to do it. Friend is going to do it. Coach is going to do it. Family's going to do it. And not even then, it might not. Because you know who else needs to be protected from themselves? Everybody who eats 3 bags of Doritos a day. Everybody who smokes 3 packs of cigarettes a day. There are a lot more people dying from sugar than from combat sports. We're going to start worrying about protecting people's health and making sure they don't hurt themselves. We should start with sugar over top of kickboxing. You know what I mean? What are we going to have? We're going to have 100 really sick people a year because they fought?
I think people want to protect their memory of Chuck.
Yeah, true.
His memory of him getting his hand raised, the science thing.
It's a good point. So Mark said people want to protect their memory of Chuck or whoever. So that's a good point. Are we worried about Demian Maia or Michael Bisping or Chuck Liddell retiring for them or for our them? Fuck, I love Chuck Liddell, man. I spent some time with him a few times, as recently as a year ago. We were getting drunk a little bit in Los Angeles, and he's still in good shape. But it's his fucking life. You don't get to protect your memory of Chuck Liddell or people like their legacy. It's their legacy. It's their health. It's your health. If you eat sugar every day, you will die younger than Anderson Silva will because he fought a bunch. That's true. We should stop people from smoking. We should stop people from fucking taking drugs. Drugs are fun for some people, you know? Mark, how much weed do you smoke? He smokes a lot of weed. For some other people, it's bad. It's his fucking life, and it helps him. He gets fucking relaxed. He's mellow right now. Yeah, and he gets good ideas. Fuck, you should see this website he's building, right? These are our lives, right? So that brings me to Michael Bisping. And if this is the first time you've watched Ask Robin Black, this is kind of what it's like. I do meander a lot, or listened. And if you are listening, I get a lot of good feedback on iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud and stuff, because I think some of you are stoners, and my meanderings are very soothing for you. But
and also for the YouTube audience, the video is cutting out a little bit. So
YouTube audience, Mark was saying our videos cut a couple times. Apologize for that. We're just doing what we can do here, sharing ideas as best we can. But so it brings us to Michael Bisping. So, and the original question, we got to be 7 minutes in. I haven't answered a question yet. Oh, I guess that was sort of a question. Favorite Michael Bisping moment. We're going to get to that, and I'm going to take other thoughts about Bisping, because here's a question. Who's your favorite whatever? If I give you the answer, it's done. Just use it to explore, right? But I appreciate it. So, Bisping. My actual favorite Michael Bisping moment that just pops to mind. Now, the fights and the combat and the artistry is always my favorite. And when Mike took out Rockhold, I mean, that's pretty epic. You don't get a lot of greater moments. I hope Mike will never, I was going to say, I hope Mike never forgets it. Fuck. There's no chance that he can smell that. You know what I mean? Like, if he closes his eyes, he can smell that. He can hear that sound. That's what it is to push yourself to these limits. You know, that's what it is to be tested. And that's what it is to risk everything for failure and embarrassment and pain and damage for that. You know, George St. Pierre and George and Mike, I think, actually very much like each other. And you can kind of tell, actually. And George is a friend. They're both friends of mine, and they speak very highly of each other. But George will tell you he hates fighting, but he loves the memories, the moments. They're burned in him forever, and he fights for that. Mike, I think, fought because that's what he is, you know? And there are so many memories. The Rockhold one, of course, is going to be one of the great moments watching fighting. Actually, Mike coming back from being fucking laid out at the end of that round. Was it round 3? Anderson laid him out, but the round was over, and yeah, and Anderson went to celebrate, and I watch millions of moments of fighting over the last number of decades, hundreds of millions of moments, and people ask about analysis and how it works, and there's a thin slicing that you don't quite even necessarily understand, but when your brain has analyzed, 50,000 of a particular kind of moment, and the variable is there, and you can confidently infer certain things. Anderson understood, I think, that it was the end of the round, but as a good competitor, and not only no judgment, admiration from me, went to create the celebration with the knowledge, with that gentle knowledge, not calculating. This isn't the top-down systems of the brain. It's the bottom-up, the instinctive systems. Kind of aware that if you start celebrating and everybody comes in and Mike's down, that often it is over now. I mean, fuck, I just laid him out. I mean, that ref made that judgment, but is he right? Is he wrong? That's just... Yeah. Yeah, we've seen many situations. Yeah. Yeah, and it just... kind of happens at the end, and by the time the celebration begins and we can't make, so he just goes through with it, but it wasn't over. And it was Herb, I believe. I can picture Herb in there. Although sometimes you'll just, it was Eves, and I just picture Eves, and the memory is a fucking wild thing. It fills in blanks, but I'm pretty sure it was Herb. It was Herb. Herb is very decisive, and it wasn't over. It was the end of the round, and he made that call. And Mike fucking won round 4, and he won that fight. And he won that fight quite cleanly. He cleanly won 3 rounds. Anderson's, too, were pretty fucking tough. But that just makes the winning of that fight all the more admirable. There are times where people will be like, oh, yeah, but look how much damage he took. Yeah, and he won. That's even more admirable. So there are many of those. But I think my favorite Bisping sort of moment because... asking me, I'm a person and I have personal experiences. In mine, Mike, I see Mike at the MMA Awards. And I'd never actually met him in person before, but he'd known for a long time that I'm a big fan of his work. And so I see him at the MMA Awards. Hey, Robin, it's good to meet you. Let's go get drunk after. And with a big hug. And it's, it's cool. And that was a really great night for me. Never met Michael Chandler before. See Ben Saunders. All these guys whose work I've really celebrated and analyzed. And I get a lot. I feel some sincere kindness from these people. And I get it. If somebody spent a long time and a lot of expertise and countless hours analyzing my work, I would be very complimented as well. And I feel that. And Mike was just, let's go get wasted. And I was like, yeah, that sounds super fun. And then afterwards, he's quite wasted. And he's kind of getting in an argument with Eddie Bravo and Ben Saunders. People talked about it, but ultimately, I was there. And it wasn't really like anybody would... everybody kind of admired everybody, and that was personally in that situation. And we made sure that nobody filmed it and took it out of context. There was some cool, passionate, excitable individuals. And this is what happens when alpha males are all together, right? And nothing came of it. But I assume that Mike fucking kept the party going. I would have liked to have been there, but who knows? He's late for the weigh-ins the next day, and we're in the back, and George is already on stage, and Mike just comes storming in alone through the back door, and it's the back area, and it's wide, like it's half the arena, and he's got a leather jacket on, and he's just marching. Nobody's shooting, nothing's happening. He's just fucking, it's, okay, I gotta get the fuck up there and do my thing. Gets up, starts swearing, whatever, does his thing, getting paid, making money, selling fights, doing something he's good at. And then after, he comes back, and I'm like, oh, Mike, I was there. You kind of getting into a fight with Eddie last night. He goes, who? What? Ed Soares? I'm like, no, Eddie Bravo. And he goes, oh, yeah, I think I remember that, which was hilarious. And he's just a person, right? He's just a fucking guy who works really hard, which is part of why, if you appreciate Michael Bisping, you understand this isn't some fucking bizarre lab-created super athlete. This is a guy who works obsessively and cannot be mentally broken. Or we can all be mentally broken, but pushed to such a limit to it to happen. If and when it happens, all it does is make him even stronger. And if and when it happens is in the gym, because it never happened in a fight that I can ever recall. He's just a guy, right? He's just a person out in the fucking world. And unlike these and when I say lab created, I don't mean necessarily steroid guys, although that's been a part of his talk always. I mean these fucking specimens. He's just a fucking dude who worked hard, liked fighting, liked martial arts, learned how to get better and better, and improved his ability to improve his ability. So he didn't just learn to kick better, he learned to learn better. That's a big part of it. And I talked to him some years back on a double ender, which is where you just hear and the audience sees both of you at Fight Network. And he was talking about how he then started to become self-aware, that he thought he needed to be all angry, and he realized that he succeeded despite that, not because of it. So he improved all of those things. But the part of the story I'm getting to, that is my favorite Michael Bisping moment, this is all just the setup, is we go to the back, and he goes, oh, hey, Robin, good to see you. And we chat, and I'm standing here, and I'm like, I'm forgetting, I think it's this way. And I'm like, so Mike, and he goes, Robin, yeah, do you mind if I stand on the other side? I can't see you. I'm fucking blind in this eye. And I'm like, number one, I'm like, fucking Michael Bisping is not necessarily going to be fighting for that long because, yes, he trusts me and will now over time views me as a martial artist who does this, not as some fucking journalist. But you can't go fucking telling when there's cameras around that you're blind in that eye. Because you have to get cleared, and I don't know what doctors you're doing or what tricks you learned or whatever, but if you're fucking blind in that eye, you can't fight. And don't fucking tell people that. And I'm saying it now because he's retired and he has talked about it. I never talked about this because I want to protect him. And it goes back to Demian Maia. Protect their desire to live the life they want. Fucking dude was blind in that eye, but his burning desire to fight and do what he was put on earth to do was so strong that he would find ways to trick the medical community. He would find ways to trick, not all that fucking smart if he partied the night before and there's fucking camera. Like my camera, if they caught it, I would have said that we're not fucking doing anything with that. But you don't know who these fucking people, you can't say you're blind in one eye when you're fighting George St. Pierre in 6 weeks. But when he talked, so we changed sides and then, we chatted for a bit. And I've talked to him quite a lot after that. But this is who he is. And on one hand, somebody would be sitting here going, that person should be protected from themselves. And my answer to that is that person, you are protecting them from themselves. Michael Bisping's hardest challenge now is going to be living without this. The damage he can do to his body with junk food, with fucking booze, and he has the right. But him fighting, being forced by himself to say, I'm fighting one of the great fighters in the world. And I've seen him talk about it, and I know the feeling because I fought 9 times and I loved it. Nowhere near, not 100th of this level, but the experience there's a similarity in the path. When you say, I'm fighting somebody that is a dangerous fighter in my underpants in front of all my family and everybody 10 weeks from now, all of a sudden there is no Doritos, there is no party, your diet, your exercise. You make yourself so healthy and fit and powerful and sharp and focused and intelligent and quick, and it's really a wonderful feeling. And I've seen Michael talk about that as he's talking about retirement, but he's fighting George, and he's like, I just feel so good, I want this. It isn't just the fight. Talk to BJ Penn. BJ, when are we getting tacos? Fish tacos, man. Seriously. I'll come to Hawaii. It's not cheap. I don't want to spend the money. Do you want to come to Toronto? But I've talked to these guys about not just missing fighting, but missing the date. Encouraging Michael to do what he does and what he's put on earth to do while he could do it, as much as he could do it. He fucking fought brilliantly against George St. Pierre with half an eye. His choice. And if the doctors can't find it, that's on them. He did what he wanted to do, needed to do, felt was important to him for his purpose and the one fucking life that he has. Celebrate that. Celebrate that. But so that was fucking a pretty incredible thing because I already admired the guy, and now you're looking at it going, you can't fucking see, but you need to fight so bad. You're just like, well, this is the truth. I'll figure out how to adapt it, figure out how to pass the eye tests. I'll figure out how to get licensed. I'll figure out how to fight with a different depth perception. I'll find answers because that's what the fuck he did.
Encourage Perillo to take those variables and work around that.
For sure. But that, so Mark mentioned Perillo and the other key people. You are responsible for your coach too, because Jason Perillo's a fucking genius. And there are some of them, and then there are some that aren't, and some aren't good fits. You pick them. They earn your respect, you earn theirs, but you hire them. They're your choice. Some of them will act a particular way to make you feel like you should be with them. You pick them. And you choose them and you work with them. And he picked and chose, earned the respect of the right ones. Perillo being probably the biggest key to his late career. And Jason Perillo isn't one of these obsessive Instagram coaches or whatever. And you might not always hear about him, but he's just going to go off into the world and make great fighters. There's many of these coaches. They won't always be the most famous. Other people do know him. He's probably won awards and stuff, but not everybody knows him the same way they know some. But we could go on forever. There's one other Michael Bisping moment that actually it's connected to the Luke Rockhold one. So I'm on vacation. I try to take one vacation a year. It'd be nice if you could get two, but you can't always. And, now we're in business for ourselves here, so money becomes an issue. Time, when you have a job, is an issue. Family, all kinds of things. If you're lucky enough to take a vacation, then good. And if you're not, keep working hard and earn that and save it and get one, because taking time off is important and it's really fulfilling. It's when you live a different way. So I have this one vacation. My wife and I haven't been anywhere for probably 7 or 8 months. We finally get a week together. And I had commentated Judo Brazil. So it was my route into, when Joe recommended me to Dana, they said I would have a contract in 4 days. That was 3 years ago. But then they offered me a few small little things, and one of them was Judo Brazil. And I really wanted to commentate. Commentating is what I do. I've commentated 550 odd shows. I'm commentating bare knuckle boxing in London, England next weekend. And I'm stoked. And then I'm commentating in Cardiff. I've got, that's what I do. It's what I love to do. And at one point, my goal was to commentate for the UFC. So one route in, Dominic Cruz took this route. Bisping was on it as well. Judo Brazil was something Fight Pass was done with UFC production, and it was a doorway in to doing commentary. I did one. It went very well. The producer was very pleased. Bisping, I wanted the next one, but no, I couldn't do it. Bisping had it. I'm like, well, I understand that. It's fucking Michael Bisping, right? So I'm on vacation. It's Saturday. Sunday, we arrive. We go out. We have a great day. Monday, we have a great day. And we'd promised each other we weren't going to go online, but I went online. We both did. Actually, she did, which I thought, okay, well, she's on her thing, so I'll go on. So I look, and it says, Chris Weidman is injured. He's out of the fight with Luke Rockhold. Michael Bisping is online saying he'll fight Luke Rockhold. Now, I also know at this time Michael Bisping's in Toronto here because I was in Toronto and we were chatting. I was trying to do a thing with him. And friends of mine know him. And, Jorge, this fantastic coach over at Open Mat, was working with him. And so I knew he was in Toronto. So Mike's in Toronto. The fight is in 6 days. I also know Mike is commentating Judo Brazil. So I look at it and I say to my wife, fuck, Weidman's out. And she goes, oh, that's a drag. I know you worked really hard on that Weidman breakdown, which I did. And it never came out. And it was it was really cool. I'm really proud of it. I don't know how to find it now. I don't work at Fight Network anymore, but I worked on it for weeks. So that's not coming out. And I said, yeah, it's not just that, sweetie. So I think Michael Bisping's going to take it. And Mike is doing that Judo gig that, the one that is the route to doing commentary. And if he takes this fight, in 3 days, they won't have anyone to commentate it. And she goes, just send the email. And I was like, we're on the beach. Actually, we were in the room, but it was, the only vacation that we had had in 7 months. She goes, just send the email. So I send the email. I write, I'm on vacation. I might not be able to get to email more than every 4 or 5 hours. But I noticed that Mike might take this fight with Luke Rockhold. If he does, I know you need someone for Judo. I'll fly from Cancun to LA, 5-hour flight, by the way, and I'll do it and fly back. If this suits you, and this happens, let me know. Understand I said yes already, but I cannot, but I might not get this for 4 or 5 hours. So we went out, we had some tequila, we went swimming, went to the beach, we came back. I'm going to fucking LA. So 3.5 days of almost 4. By the time you fly all the way there, you get ready, you go that night, you shoot it, you come back. I had 2 days at the beginning, 1 day at the end. I fucking murdered the thing. As a result of murdering that, they gave me 4 more commentary gigs, which I went on to murder the next 2, and everybody was pleased. And then the UFC was sold, and they canceled Shooto Brazil. But I was already booked for multiple more. I never got a call again, despite the work or leaving in the middle of that vacation, which kind of fucking pisses me off, to tell you the truth. But that's another story. But that was an interesting one, because at that moment, as much as my wife was choked, and I love that woman, and for her to say, this is your dream, and this is what you want to do, and we'll do whatever it takes. We'll get another vacation in a year. And I went and I did it, and it went really well. And it felt like that was the key turning point for me, where I would then be calling UFC fights. It didn't end up being that. But at the moment, it did feel like it. But Michael went on to win the UFC fucking middleweight championship of the world. He did. And I felt like I went on, that was the key, and I was going to. But somewhere along the lines, things change, the flow changes, communication changes, different producers move into things, and it didn't work out that way. But at that moment, so I'm forever connected to that moment of Bisping winning that title, because I fucking left the beach, took a 2-hour cab somewhere, waited there for 90 minutes, took a 5-hour flight, and then a 2-hour car, and then had to get my hair dyed and my skin peeled, and then commentated, then went to bed, and then flew 2 hours to the airport, 5 hours back, and then 2 hours back there to spend the last 30 hours on the beach. Didn't end up working out for me, but it worked out for Mike. So I'm very, very happy for him. So watch for my 1 minute celebration. 1 minute, you can't do justice, but you try to find just the right amount of emotion and the right words to create a moment to celebrate Bisping. So hopefully I'll have Dinislam's building something now, and the things I like to do with him, he makes these epic flowing music transitions, light and dark, and kind of art pieces. So this is a perfect one to do with my friend. So we're going to try to have that out in the next couple of days. But so let's move on. Michael, thank you for all your fights, man. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for the motivation, and thank you for the entertainment, and yeah, we love you, man. And you're going to do great things. Don't eat too many Doritos, and don't drink too much beer. And also, you mentioned like multiple times that your producer was going to call me and you wanted me to be your guest on your show. And still hasn't happened. So you have my fucking number. But congrats on a brilliant career, man. Let's do a few more. I know I meandered there. It's what we do. And I would say forgive me, but you know what you're in for. And if you don't, thanks for coming for the first time, and I hope you come back. But this is what I do. Let's do a couple more. I've got a few more here, but I think we're probably a half hour in already. And
Want to jump into Till Wonderboy?
Till Wonderboy. I think we're going to play with an episode of Water about that in the next 2 or 3 days. So please watch for that. If you're sitting here, listen or watch for that on iTunes and stuff. If you're watching this or listening to this, Till Wonderboy, I've kind of got a bit of a thesis of it that will connect to the next episode of Water, which may be up now, depending when you see this, or it'll be up within a couple of days. We'll do a couple of quicker ones, but even when I say that, I know that's not necessarily true. The same guy, at Judas3RD, at Judas Third. What breakdown got the most response, positive or negative? And then at Tyler Durden 88 jumps in with, what do you think of Sergio Ramos? Sergio Ramos versus CM Punk. The reason I connected those, I don't know, a lot of MMA fans don't, and I'm one of them, don't know about any other things, especially other sports. Because for some of us, I'm one, definitely, I connect mixed martial arts and martial arts in general a lot more to music and art and painting and poetry and, fine arts than I do to sports. I don't myself watch American football or basketball or even hockey. And the Winnipeg Jets were, I'm from Winnipeg originally, and they were in there. And I got dragged in off the street with a bunch of people from Winnipeg. That was really fun because of the passion. But so Sergio Ramos is a world famous, beloved, and absolutely hated player for Real Madrid. Real Madrid. Some real fucking Madrid right there. What does Real mean? Team? Regal. The Royal Madrid. Real Madrid. So, and people were like, you clearly don't know nothing about soccer or football. I don't. At all. Or American football or tennis or any of these things. Irrelevant. So anyways, the answer was, the most response I got was, Sergio Ramos from Real Madrid took down Mohamed Salah from Liverpool. I was just in Liverpool, wonderful town. Now, I don't want to get all up into it right now, but if you love someone and he loves someone else, or a team, or your side, or politics, you will fight for your side. I have no one in the race here. I have no one. Yes, Liverpool's a nice town, but I'm pretty sure fucking Madrid is incredibly beautiful, right? I can't wait to go to Madrid. I don't know if I'm welcome there now. But, I mean, fucking Spain? Come on, right? I'm not connected in any way to either side. And people were like, well, coming at me with all kinds of things. What I did was, Mark said, hey, I think you're going to like this, and I think people are liking it, and I think this appeals. This will connect to you. And I looked at it, and regardless of who is tangled in whatever, when you go and take a grip on my arm and hyperextend my arm against something, I have to follow. Whether you did it on purpose or not, I don't know that matters to me. Really, I know it matters to the people watching it. I don't know that matters to me. And I don't care what was injured. I don't care who the guy was. I don't care that fact that he was a bad guy or he was a good guy. I don't care about any of it. I care. I've dedicated my life to analyzing moments of physical conflict. If you bend my wrist in a particular way, my arm will do something else. If you kick something, if you pull on something, if you defend something, if you're fatigued, how your body works, how the physics works, the biomechanics, that's what I study for decades now. And since I was a little kid, I was obsessed with it. I also work with some of the top minds in the world of kinesiology, biomechanics, sports psychology in general, physics, human movement, all of these things. Kinesiology is the study of human movement, but I'm just trying to ramble it together for you. This is just what I do anyways, all the time, all day. My conversations on the telephone are with PhDs about these things. My friends are people who, create movement strategies for people. When I'm in the gym, I like to fight and train, but now I do it to understand movement. When I look at systems that are happening, I'm connecting it to what I study. I don't care if this guy's good and this guy's bad. None of it. All I cared about is when this happens to your body. Don't care if he did it on purpose. Don't care why he did it. Don't care what he thought of it. Don't care what the audience thinks. Don't care what got hurt. Don't care what came before it. Don't care what came after it. This happens. When this happens, this takes place. And when this happens here, this happens. Arm locked, hyperextended. I must follow. If something's in my way, I'll fall down. didn't intend to imply any other things. It was awesome though. Like the amount of, yeah, it was fascinating. Oh, I loved every second of those couple of days. So, and I had people calling me from and sending me messages from Ireland, Egypt, Russia, asking about it. And what was so, to me, that's what happened. That's it. And then after people were like, what about this grip? And I'm like, well, they were just tangled their arms. What happened was, the key thing that happened is when this is held and you press it against this, you even see it in me. If I go like this, I have to go. And then if there's a thing in front, now any series of flukes could cause that, but in all likelihood, and statistically speaking, those key things could happen altogether. Anyways, my intent is not debate. In fact, controversy is not, I don't really like it. Like, I see that is politically and in entertainment and stuff and in communication, it's a big part of our world, but I'm not looking for it. But it was so neat, like the passion. And that's what I ended up getting out of it. The amount of fucking true emotional commitment people have to these things. It's inspiring. Yeah, man. Like, I'm a fan of football now. Like, I don't know the sport. I don't know the teams. I thought Real Madrid was Real Madrid. For Real. I did. Right? I did. I don't know who these people are. But if the audience is this passionate about something like that, that's my shit right there. Like when I'm going to England next week. I'm going to some bars where they've got football on. Is it the World Cup next week?
Yeah, well,
fucking right.
you'll get to watch World Cup with
Yeah.
a bunch of English people.
I'm going to watch the World Cup with a bunch of English people on the 8th. So I'm the commentating BKB bare knuckle boxing on the 9th in London at the O2 Arena. I think it's the small arena in the O2. So somewhere within a couple, I'll try to put it on Twitter. Or if you're watching this, tell me where to go that isn't too far from there on the 7th and the 8th. I'll be there. I want to watch some fucking football with some British people because you guys love this shit. And that to me was what I took away from it. Yeah, nobody has insults like fucking football fans, right? Like you'd see these guys and very little of it felt directed at me. Like some people were like, don't you fucking know anything about football? No, I don't. I know about what happens when you put these bodies together. None of the physics, biomechanics, biology, all of these things, they don't care what sport it's in. They don't care. They don't. If this happens and it causes this, which results in that, context matters to the in and out, and it matters to the result. People were like, dude, it wasn't even that arm. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what he hurt. This is what happened, and he fell down on this one. If it hurt this one, that's somebody else's job. My job is what is the moments of conflict. If anything, I actually also learned something really valuable. I can accidentally imply things. That's not my business. My business is this is what happened. You draw your own conclusions. So I didn't get a lot. I got some go fuck yourself, American jerk. I'm like, I'm Canadian. I'm a Canadian jerk. But I didn't get too much, and it doesn't bother me anyways. I love the passion. But I saw them at each other. My favorite one is, of all the creative insults that were shot back and forth, my favorite one is, you should get your brainstem reattached, you fucking septic tank. It's like, that's mixed metaphors, but I loved it. Like, it was fantastic. But it also, we should be this passionate about martial arts, man. We should be. I know sometimes we are. Yeah, and in Brazil, yes, you guys are. And yeah, Russia. Yeah, my Russian friends are fucking pretty passionate too. That's true. Yeah. Holland. Asia too, man. There's a different kind of passion, a connection to an inspirational passion in Asia. But over here, we can't just be arguing about who gets the next title shot or if it was early stoppage or if the refs got it wrong. I mean, sorry, we can do whatever we want, but I think we can do better. When you see these fucking football fans just fucking like all their life depends on it, that should inspire you to feel that way about things. Yeah, for sure, to your thing.
You should feel minuscule now.
Yeah, you should. And I'm not saying you have to be passionate about hockey or fighting or whatever, but life, man, there's passion. Like you gotta live with passion. You know, you see these, and there is an argument that maybe some of that passion you could direct towards other things too. I'm just saying. I'm not saying don't love football or fighting or whatever, but live with that passion. Be that passionate about fucking your kid's sport, or your child learning piano, or improving your connection to your loved one, or taking care of your family. Like, passion is this wonderful thing, and fuck, I loved it. I loved it. 340,000 people watched that. It was like 6,000 retweets or something. And like I said, Russia and Egypt and all over the world, people were asking me about it. And it's like, it was really neat. It did make me a little self-conscious. It's like, to me, these moments are never more special than in martial combat. Never. It was neat that these two guys had one of these clashes, and that we all cared. But this is what every fight is. Just that alone. Ongoing. And using it sometimes to set up the next thing, or to give it up to create a position. This is, if you find that interesting, and I know some of the interest is the connection to the team or your people, but if you can see that tells me that there is an appetite for it. And while I'm briefly shitting on the UFC, like I was implying when I said that I was angry that I never that after getting off the beach to do that, they honestly, and I have these conversations. I talked to Joe about this the other day. You talk to these fucking guys in production, and no, I don't mean to be rude, but they really think that the audience is too casual to be able to handle a higher level of analysis. 620,000 fucking football fans got pretty lit up by it. You really have so little respect for your fucking mixed martial arts audience that you don't think that they can handle seeing some of these mysteries unlocked? That's fucking crazy. But anyway, so we're having fun. If you sat with us listening or watching through this and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So at Robin Black MMA on Instagram or Twitter, and I've got about 140 of these 1-minute breakdowns up in the last 3 months, and I got a couple more up today. And I love doing them, and I'm just going to keep doing them and keep peeling back layers. And you keep peeling back layers, and one of the issues of broadcasts that disagree with, I don't think people can handle this, is as they consume more and more and more and more and more of this kind of things out in the real world, and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, this is where people are. If something's on TV and it's not all that interesting, they go to Instagram, they come up on here. The more they see that, the more dated and ancient the old way seems. So it's just a matter of time. But, which brings me to another question. Maybe the last one. We've got some other really good ones, but we're going to do another one of these within a few days. We're going to try to commit to no matter what, one a week with relevant topics. And Till versus Wonderboy would be relevant, but by the time you're seeing this, that's a week old, and I think it'll fold into water really nicely. But the last one for today, Mayars_realm. How do you think MMA will change in 10 years? I mean, specifically in the cage, i.e. techniques being used, etc. Big fan. Thank you. Okay. So this is way up. I don't think the idea of sometimes anticipating what the next thing could be is just an occasional thing. I think that is a part of understanding what today is. Talking about how Michael Bisping came up, where Demian Maia's skill came in and out of dominance, what is happening right now and what's happening in 10 years, that is all the same thing. That is what analysis is. That is what, if we're really trying to find meaningful truths about something that you're studying, you must be seeing the present as only a moment and no more relevant or important than the moments that came before or the moments that will come. Right this minute, we think that whatever it is we're doing is somehow more important or more relevant or more meaningful than all of the former things that we and people did or all of the things they will do. And it isn't. It's just meaningful in our experience at this moment. Sitting here right now, talking to a camera, which represents all of these friends of and people and interest, and talking into a mic as people I know will listen. This is incredibly meaningful to me because I'm in the moment and I'm present here, and it's special to be present here. And while you're listening, if you think of it, follow your breath for a second, feel your feet on the ground, and connect to this moment. You're like, wow, it's fucking awesome being here right now. It's awesome just living in this moment. That's what life is. But that experience is special. That experience as you're having it is special. But this moment is no more special in context than all the ones that came before it. So Demetrius Johnson, John Jones, whoever, they are fucking unbelievably special. That knockout was unreal. That submission was amazing. That moment was incredible. Watching those skills are amazing. But there will be, and it is some of our jobs, and it is the job of humanity to honor the past, to appreciate it, to remember it, to catalog it, to, paint it on a cave or write it in a textbook or put it on the internet or put it in a podcast. This is part of what it is to be human, is to record our history and to celebrate it. Why? Well, really is so that we can fucking learn lessons that will be relevant in the future. That's why. Although we don't do that as much as we should. But so we should be documenting these things. But in the future, it will be entirely different. It will be entirely different. And I realize you said specifically what techniques. But if I just say to you, well, spinning kicks will be huge, and Superman punches will be big, and schoolyard headlocks are going to make a comeback, I'm not fucking telling you anything. Right? So people often ask me, no, I want technical things. Technical things said by somebody with authority is meaningless, right? What I'm doing here for a moment is explaining to you why I believe these are a better answer than low calf kicks will be important for the next 5 years, because we see the way that guys put their foot out in the front, and at distance you can reach a little further with that low kick. That could be true today, but how the fuck do you know if it is? When you listen to somebody that just speaks with an authoritative voice about something, you're not being told or taught anything. Actually, you're being told something. You're being taught nothing, right? I can't tell you in 10 years what it'll look like, because it changes in 10 days and 10 weeks, big time. Fighting changes in 10 weeks dramatically when you're up close to it. And it certainly changes in 10 months. The biggest change that we have seen, and this will be a part of it, but then, and so you feel like you could extrapolate it, that even in 10 years it'll be even more, but eventually it becomes the amount of change and everybody kind of catches up, and then it's just kind of stays the same, and new change happens. But only 6 and 7 years ago, we got ready and we moved in towards each other. We got into a position that we could hit each other and or grab each other. When I grabbed you, you then tried to stop me from taking you down. And then when you stopped me from taking you down, we hit each other again. And on and on and on. And over the last 5 or 6 years, it's got to be 6, 7 years ago, we identified this. This was clearly something that would be the most important thing over the next 5 or 6 years. And back then I was trying to create catchy things. I thought it was valuable to say to create catchphrases or descriptions that would resonate in a mind. I thought maybe that would be the secret to making sure people learn these things. Distance management. We started talking about that. Then we were like, it's called the movement. People are like, there's no movement. Now everybody moves. Movement and staying away and managing the gap between you is the most vital part. If you cannot do it well, you get destroyed. You're not in the fight. Because once upon a time, as we would all be in range, we got to a point where it's like, I'm out, I'm hitting you, I'm away, you're chasing, you start chasing me, I tap you and I move away, and all of a sudden, I'm drawing you and I'm manipulating you and you can't handle it. That was you had to find an answer to Ronda Rousey. And as much as Ronda will be an important part of history, I don't know that people will ever remember that her blatant, massive superpower of taking away all space and then grabbing you was the problem that had to be solved. And by people watching this really binary issue of you want to stay away from her and she wants to close the distance, and then when she does, you're dead. Men, women, coaches, fans, everybody, she was the cut and dried, oh, that's the problem. And of course it mattered enough. Stephen Thompson was a big one. And it'll tie into this talk on water next week. Stephen Thompson was a big one. All of a sudden, you can't get to him. Johnny Hendricks wants to get to him, and he's in and out, smashing him up, and Johnny doesn't know what's going on. Johnny was doing what you did. Close the distance, use your wrestling to set up your punches, and use your punches to set up your wrestling, and then close the distance on him. When he reacts to the takedown, drill him with your left hand. When he reacts to the left hand, get in on the hips. He doesn't have takedown defense like my takedowns. Get the double, take him down, beat him up. Fuck, that didn't work anymore. Doesn't work now.
And now it's gone full circle where grapplers like Demian Maia need to figure out how to close the distance.
Exactly. So people are like, what happened to Demian Maia's takedowns? They stayed the same is what happened. They stayed the same. And the game changed. The game changed dramatically. You couldn't stop Demian Maia from taking you down. We all just were like, okay, we're here. Okay, now he's got the single. We better defend it. Okay, he's in on the double. How do I defend the double? Early on, it was sprawl. Sprawl doesn't work anymore. Now there's a second and a third and a fourth layer. So when he gets in, work on your takedown defense. Takedown defense was the worst idea, but we needed short-term answers. The right idea was don't let him grab you. Now, we got good at that. The whole game got good at it. Everybody got good at it. So good, Demian Maia can't grab you. Demian Maia can't grab you. Demian Maia's in trouble. Demian Maia's trying to find the answer using the same skills and equations he had before. Demian Maia's not doing anything wrong. He's doing everything right in 2016. But it's not 2016, right? So that changed dramatically. You asked what was the next 10 years? The next 10 years will be some version of that. Now, again, we said with Till and Wonderboy, that's going to be a part of water, and it is. But Till, Wonderboy, and Tyron and Wonderboy, people like, and even Rory and Wonderboy, people like, we don't like this. You should fucking get used to it, because that's the direction it's going. I can't say 10 years because somebody will find an answer. There are answers. They're not that far away, but this will continue. This is the modern game. Now, as that happens, the game change is also influenced by many other things. That works. It's happening. It's the direction of the game. But you influence it too. The sport, the television, technology, all of these things influence it. We needed to take the time over the last few years as this was happening to teach the beauty of that. Because this beautiful fucking, country music is beautiful to a lot of people. I don't like it. But if somebody who loves country music shows it to me, I'm pretty sure I'll start to understand it a little bit better, right? That's what this game is right now. Or fucking anything. People, chess. People are like, that's a boring sport. Yeah, fucking chess master explains it to you with passion and knowledge and beauty, and you see it. Oh my, I get it. That'll happen. We needed to do that with this, but here we are. So the game is changing. And the audience, our job was to educate them. And now we're sitting here with a whole bunch of people through no fault of their own who thinks that sucks. Oh, when's Till going to start fighting? I heard that one.
Do you think also because money fights, it changes the style, like because there's more at stake now, it alters their style, they're not as aggressive, they're more calculated?
Yeah,
So
well,
it creates quote unquote boring fights, and now that they'd be way more analytical than they normally
for
would,
sure.
You know, an unranked fighter.
Well, all of those things connect, right? At one time, what did they get? $50,000 for a performance bonus? It was $65,000 8 years ago. Yeah, it was $65,000. I know because I managed Nick Denis and he got knockout of the night. 20, 30 seconds, maybe even less. And I was managing him and he got $65,000. And that's what it used to be. $65,000 8 years ago is probably more like $130,000 now. $50,000 is not fuck all when you have to take into account that I have sustained brain damage. You know what I mean? So now we need to fight 10 or 12 times. You want to fight 10 or 12 times? You can't go in there and fight the way these guys used to. Also, if I'm getting paid the same amount to take no damage as I'm getting the other way, and it's like there's a short-term argument that the guys, Gaethje and guys like that, Justin Gaethje has made himself a very good living, and I think he's going to do very well, and I think he has taken care of his family, and I think there were times he was making $300,000, he was getting endorsements, and good for him. But anybody else thinks that they can go do that? They can't. He's special. Yeah. And Joe's, I don't know how much Joe has left now. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Joe made a ton of money. Yeah. And a lot of those were 65 back then. But Justin's also special. I can't do that. Someone's like, well, you should just fight like Justin and you'll make more money. I can't. Get murdered. I'm not built for that. Nobody's built for that. He is. So it's not like a strategy. Like, well, maybe if you let it all hang out, you'll have more fans. And yeah, maybe I'll fucking not be able to fight ever again. Maybe I'll have broken bones. I can't train. Now they give me some kind of weird painkiller and it makes me sluggish. And then you take 4 months off and now my focus is off. All of it. It's all connected. You can't. This is the way it's going. I hope that's okay. I'll do my best to do my share to reveal the beauty and the secrets and the mysteries of what's happening. And there is a lot. And there are exceptions to it. The second, I mean, man, when I'm watching some of these fights and I have the good fortune, I won't repeat the coaches and fighters that I'm often texting with because they didn't say it was okay for me to say their opinions here. But I get a lot of, they know the answer. You know, if you, like, Till wasn't moving to his right much at all. At all. Can't move to his right. You work on that. Well, now once we're able to move to our right, and cutting somebody off is not keeping up with them. It's cutting them off. This is here, and I go there. This is here, and I don't just chase. I try to cut them off. It's like fucking Tron. I mean, like, you know, you see it. Now, seeing it and doing it are different, but these coaches see it, and they're all
side by side with that, and you can clearly tell the difference between
big time. Chasing and cutting off, huge difference, and the coaches know it. And if their fighters aren't quite yet mastering that, give it 6 months. So this may not be it. It's going this way right now, but one change, a couple of key things, some real concentration on that ability to cut somebody off and strike them as they move to that side and kick them as they move to that side and shoehorn them into the middle and fuck them up. Somebody starts mastering that. Two people start mastering it. RDA is going to look to do some of that against Covington, although Covington will probably look to take him down. So I'm sitting there and I'm going to fucking shoehorn you into the middle, and you're like, fuck it. And you come straight at me and you take me down. That was the Tyron Woodley game in the old days. Go against the fence, you come in and try to trap him, you double leg you. So there's answers to the answers to the answers to the answers, always and forever. And then just when it seems like there isn't, you go back and you pull out some old answer from 1998, and it works again because everyone forgot it existed. You know, that's going to happen forever. And we talked about the football fans during the fucking Mayweather-McGregor nonsense. I had so much fun with that too. And I was shocked. People were like, yeah, but this is boxing. Boxing's been around for 100 years or 200 years or thousands of years. Thousands is more accurate. Yeah, and in thousands of years, it'll be completely different. We haven't mastered it forever. We've mastered it for now. You take somebody from 2043 and you teleport them back to now, they'll fucking murder everybody. It's just they won't even be playing the same game. And it is that reason why when I was asked and I chose to take the angle that, of course, this guy can win, I could confidently say that because he could. He didn't, but he could. It is possible because if you work from the idea that this game will be different, there will be answers to this in the future, it means it's not perfect. And if it's not perfect, you can fluke out an answer, or you can find some forgotten answer, or you can cheat the rules slightly. There are ways. And it'll happen with Stephen Thompson, and it'll happen with Demetrius Johnson, it'll happen with John Jones. Spidey MUFC asked about Prime Kane or Miocic. We brought that up earlier. That'll be the first one for our next Ask Robin Black and to that, I'm going to add for Spidey, I'm going to add John Jones or Prime Chuck Liddell. Because those things, there's real answers in finding the past versus the present. Can we say the present versus the future? We don't know the future. Could I just make up a bunch of shit and say it with authority? Of course I could. That's not my game. My game is to try to ration out what we really know and see if we could actually project something, predict something, anticipate something, you know? And the answer is we can't really, but there are lessons from the past that can at least give you ideas for what the future will hold. And the biggest one is constant change. If you said what will fighting look like in 10 months, I'd have a better answer for you. Although that won't be perfect. All I'm using is information from a few key coaches, fighters, things that I'm seeing, changes that I'm seeing. It's a little closer. You know why a weatherman can tell you the weather tomorrow? But he's not that good at Saturday, and he's really not that good at 3 weeks from now? It's because the closer you get to it, the more you can see it. It's not far away. If you're saying what the weather's going to be in Toronto tomorrow, all you're looking at is the weather from one day ago. It'll change a little bit. There'll be some unexpected shit, but I can kind of see that. But you want me to tell you what the weather's like in a week, I have to anticipate not only where 1 week ago it arrives here with the movements and the systems and the wind and the pressure and all these things. There's so many of them. You mispredict one of them and the whole thing changes. The butterfly effect. Right? I have off and on over the last couple of years been reading a lot about chaos theory. It'll probably work its way into some water episodes. But I think I should wrap because we could go on here forever. And I've got some other things that we're gonna do a fight preview or two now that'll pop up in the next day or so on YouTube. And please follow me Instagram at Robin Black MMA, Twitter at Robin Black MMA. And if you want to enjoy the hostilities or flim flam or hot lava t-shirt, it is shoprobinblack.com. And I'll let you know when the website's up. It's going to be killer. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Blackout.